This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. Courtney Cox is back in the news. Well, she's back in the news because apparently Courtney Cox is speaking with Matthew Perry from the dead. And this is how they normalize spiritists, psychics, mediums. And of course, we've seen over the years how all of these celebrities just happen to coincidentally be into speaking with spirits. And this isn't the first time we've heard Courtney Cox talk about it. But Matthew Perry, who has long passed, who I covered his death back when it occurred, and the video is available on the website about Matthew Perry's quote-unquote sacrifice that occurred right before Leave the World Behind came out, which was filled with a lot of bizarre coincidences revolving around his death. So Courtney Cox is out talking about how not only Matthew Perry, but her mother and father visit her all the time. And when you see stories like this, people become so desensitized that this is the new normal. People out there talk about seeing spirits, talking to spirits, and they think that it's a normal occurrence, right? Now, when we talk to them about demons and demonic entities, they think that we're all crazy, but they seem to believe that a ghost of their grandmother appears in their home, and a lot of them go to mediums or invoke those spirits through seances and Ouija boards and other things they've been told are not satanic and have nothing to do with occult practices, that they're just normal everyday things that people should do. And that's, of course, how you see these things normalized out in the open. When celebrities talk this way and celebrities talk about these things on the talk shows they go on, the regular people out there become influenced by it. And these are all things that God forbids and warns us not to partake in. In Leviticus chapter 19, verse 31, do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritists, for you will be defiled by them, and I am the Lord your God. In Leviticus chapter 20, verse 27, men and women among you who act as mediums or psychics must be put to death by stoning. They are guilty of a capital offense. The Bible talks and speaks against witchcraft. It talks openly about demonic possession. These are all things that are in the Bible, but you don't hear any churches talk about this type of stuff, right? Because a lot of the women in the church, or even the men in the church, think that it's fun to go to a medium or a psychic and think that it's no big deal. But in fact, it is a big deal. And remember, everything that's in the Bible that God forbids us to do, they normalize out in the open. This is done by design. They're normalizing every single sin. They're normalizing every single occult practice and making it day-to-day things that regular people do, even Christians. Here she is, Courtney Cox, or he is, talking about this, and stick around because there's a lot of other stuff with Courtney Cox you need to see. But here is Courtney talking about how Matthew Perry's been visiting her recently, and this is supposedly normal.
You've reflected on Instagram about Matthew Perry, a member of your family.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Perry, who played Chandler Bing, died last year at 54.
What stands out most in your life? What kind of impact did he have?
I think he's probably one of the funniest human beings in the world. He's just so funny. He is genuinely a huge heart, obviously struggled. I'm so thankful I got to work so closely with him for so many years. He visits me a lot, if we believe in that.
I know you're a spiritual person, which makes that statement very interesting. So you still feel his presence.
Oh yeah, I talk to my mom, my dad, Matthew. I feel like there are a lot of people that I think that guide us. I do sense, I sense Matthew's around for sure.
Now, of course, we know that it's not Matthew Perry that's visiting Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox has openly talked about summoning spirits and demons and even seeing the devil, which I'll show you in a second. But just remember when it comes to Matthew Perry, that Matthew Perry said before he got the role on Friends that he prayed to God to make him famous before he got that role. And then, of course, he said he would do anything to become famous. And then he realized that he pretty much sold his soul. Now, Courtney Cox has been on Howard Stern, other, Kabbalistic, satanic people's talk shows, Seth Meyers, talking about how she summoned spirits and even seen the devil in her apartment. And again, this is because Courtney Cox is a witch. All of these celebrities are witches. Listen.
You someone in real life, did you ever buy into the supernatural?
I saw some. I mean, there's no question I saw some.
You saw something?
I saw these
faces. Some of them looked a little like what I would imagine the devil to look like.
You're on record as saying you lived in a house in, I don't know, Laurel Canyon somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a home you bought years ago. You bought it from Carole King.
Mm-hmm. Well,
lived there.
Yeah, Carole King lived there.
Carole-
Gypsy Rose Lee.
And you've been in interviews and you've said, you know, I lived in a house that was haunted. Do you really believe in ghosts and that your house was haunted? I want to know the truth.
Okay, I really didn't believe in ghosts, but that scared me when that many people had seen spirits and stuff in the house, and then just out of the blue, not people, you know, that no one was, the guy wasn't staying in the house. He just rang the doorbell and saw one standing behind me. So that was, but I did
Wait
recently,
a second.
Yeah.
Some guy rang your doorbell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you said to the guy, hey, have you heard that this house is haunted?
No, I didn't. The doorbell rang. I went to it. It was a UPS guy or Federal Express, whatever it was. And I answered it, got my package, and he said, do you know this house is haunted? And I go, really? Why? He goes, because there's someone standing behind you. And I thought, oh, shit.
Do I have it right that you then called Carole King, the former owner of the house, and had her come over and held a seance with her to get rid of the ghosts first?
You know what? She came over before that. And I
Right.
didn't really believe, but she's such a cool lady. And I was so in awe of her that we did have a seance. I guess that was what you called it. We held hands, we sat around, and I just wasn't really connected to it. I just kept looking at her like, this is Carole King.
Some of them didn't look that welcoming. I mean, some of them looked a little like what I would imagine the devil to look like.
So, Courtney Cox, you know, these are things that you hear. You should go, whoa, wait, what? What? This isn't normal. What are these people really involved in? What are they doing? Are they making deals with the devil? Is all this stuff actually real? Yes, it is. But they've convinced you that it's something to laugh at while they openly talk about it all the time in the media. So, Courtney Cox is somebody we've seen doing the 666 right over her eye, even over her daughter's eye. There's a tweet out there from Courtney Cox, if you didn't see it before. Courtney Cox tweeted out, I believe it was in 2014. This is the quote, tweeted from Courtney Cox. How long does it take to cook a baby in a microwave? I don't know. I close my eyes when and then there's another word in there about touching oneself. Yeah, and that's from Courtney Cox, who we're not supposed to believe is a witch. Now, that coincides with Courtney Cox, who, just like all of these celebrities, puts out these very bizarre tweets and Instagram posts about their obsession with pizza. So Courtney Cox posts, her eating in a restaurant, eating pizza, tells everybody this is how you really eat pizza, and nobody becomes suspicious. Now, all of you should know that pizza is a code word for these rituals that are done with youngsters, right? This is out in the open. This is not hidden. In fact, Courtney Cox isn't the only one who loves pizza out in the open. Remember Courtney Cox's best friend from the show Friends, who coincidentally is one of her closest friends in real life? Yeah, Jennifer Aniston, the same Jennifer Aniston, who if you look up some pictures of Jennifer Aniston, you'll see Jennifer Aniston holding her eye, putting her hand up to make all-seeing eye symbolism, doing devil horns, the oath of secrecy, shh, that they don't want you to know about, closing one eye, playing peekaboo, the same stuff I show you in almost every single video. Courtney Cox doing the 666 all right, and her best friend does the same thing, right? I mean, just pretty close to the same thing. Devil horns, these are all satanic symbols, right? Now, you might remember Jennifer Aniston was hosting Ella DeGeneres, another pizza lover show, and happened to have this weird interaction with Selena Gomez about pizza and how fun pizza is. I didn't know food could be fun, but apparently to these people it is.
We've known each other for years. Yeah. You've been to my house. We've had pizza. Girl after my own heart. Do we love a pizza or what? We love a pizza. We do. It's so much fun. Now, I was told that you recall us meeting for the first time in a bath.
Now, what do you think Jennifer was referring to? Right? Jennifer, who out in the open, just like Courtney Cox talks about demons and seeing spirits, Jennifer Aniston swears by the goddess circles that she's been doing with her friends for 30 years. Right? So a goddess circle, you might say, what is a goddess circle? That just sounds like good, clean fun, right? Well, that's what a dumbed down, lukewarm Christian would probably think. But Jennifer Aniston goes from doing goddess circles. So, well, Jennifer Aniston thanks Demi Moore. Why is she thanking Demi Moore? Because she joined the Kabbalah. Right? Thank you, Demi. Now she's in the Kabbalah. So now she can openly talk about how she practices goddess circles and witchcraft. And they want you to think that, that this is just some fun, kooky thing that celebrities do. But it's actually them out in the open admitting that they're witches. They're all witches. And I show you Jennifer Aniston because I show you the connection to all of them being witches, right? Courtney Cox, summoning spirits, right? Does the 666 over, does the pizza references. So does Jennifer Aniston. All the same stuff, right? And then when she mentions that Demi Moore is the one that led her to the Kabbalah. Well, Demi Moore, I don't know if you're familiar with this clip. I've used it many times in the past, but this is Demi Moore with a 12-year-old. Is this normal behavior of the 12-year-old?
I don't know. Maybe just because I love them all and I hope they all love me. We do love them. And I love them.
If you take it for the quick publicity, you're out of your mind.
Absolutely, because he's one of my most favorite people ever. He's one of my most favorite people. For about 3 weeks. And he's been terrific. She's the greatest. We're gonna get married, by the way.
Well, of course it's not normal behavior with the 12-year-old, but these are the things that witches in our society today are able to get away with out in the open. They're able to get away with kissing 12-year-olds. They're able to get away with summoning spirits and demons, where in other time periods, you would have been accused of being a witch and you would have been taken care of, right? Because, of course, if you understand witches and Satanists, what they really do, there's a reason that they were taken care of. They were taken care of because there was always a trail of blood around them. There was always sacrifice among them. There was always missing children among them. Thus, the trails all led back to the witches and the Satanists because they were caught doing these things, right? Well, in today's society, that's all considered crazy, right? Even though out in the open, they're like, oh, I'm a witch. Oh, you're a witch. Oh, I'm a witch too, right? Lana Del Rey, I'm a witch. Right, Jennifer Aniston, I do witch circles, goddess circles, and I'm in the Kabbalah. Demi Moore's like, I'm in the Kabbalah too. And hey, look, I make out with 12-year-olds. And then Madonna jumps up and goes, hey, I'm in it too. I'm in the Kabbalah also. Does it look like I'm a witch? Oh yeah, it does look like you're a witch too, Madonna. Do you admit to it too? Oh yeah, you do also. Wow, there's certainly a lot of witches in Hollywood. Now, do you think that they're there because of their talent? No, they're not there because of their talent. Are they there because they made a deal with the devil? Well, in some senses, yes. But they're also there to condition you. They are the ones indoctrinating everyone with accepting sin, with committing sin without even realizing it, and then normalizing this stuff. They're the ones who are engineering the behavior. Celebrities, that is their purpose. That is what they serve to the CIA, to the government. They're the ones who are engineering the behavior. That's why we've seen society become so disgusting. I talked about it in the Billie Eilish video, right? You can see Billie Eilish, how Billie Eilish dresses. And you go, oh, that's really... And then you see all these kids dressed like Billie Eilish. And then nobody goes, well, that's because Billie Eilish is influencing. This is, oh, no. I made this decision on my own. No, you didn't make your decision on your own. This is Operation Paperclip in full effect. This is what the government's been perfecting over the last couple of decades. They've been perfecting how to influence your behavior. So now we're seeing all these celebrities talk about this type of stuff out in the open. Everybody loves Courtney Cox. Friends is one of those popular shows there is. So Christians and people will condemn me for talking about Courtney Cox or Jennifer Aniston or Matthew Perry's death. Even when Matthew Perry died, and I showed the connections with Matthew Perry talking about making a deal with the devil, fans came over and they were like, no, right? I covered how many people out there were doing videos crying, pretending like they knew Matthew Perry. It's just legitimate psychosis. They don't want to believe this stuff. When it's right in front of your faces, what do you think? Courtney Cox just decided with all the fame and celebrity that Courtney Cox has all the money that she wants to openly talk about how she eats pizza, right? And then creepily eating pizza on her Instagram account. Everyone's just like, wow, that's kooky and weird eating pizza, right? Then Jennifer Aniston talks about these pizza parties that they have, right? Or they just hang out, eat pizza and how fun pizza is. That doesn't even make sense, doesn't it? Do you ever cook pasta in your home and you're like, pasta's fun, right? You might say, hey, I like how pasta tastes. I like to eat pasta, right? Oh, but pizza's fun, right? So that would mean that there's something else going on. But nobody bothers to connect the dots. They're all witches. All of this stuff done out in the open. And I'll play for you the clip that I always play, right? Because Matthew Perry was likely a sacrificial offering. Because when you make a deal with the devil, eventually it comes time that it's due. Something's due, right? Usually what they have to do is commit another blood sacrifice. And if they don't, then they're the blood sacrifice, right? Matthew Perry was clearly a sacrificial offering. He didn't vanish. It was clear that it was a ritual from all the signs that were surrounding him, all the things that he was posting and talking about. And this is what it's like. This is how it works. I always use this clip from the movie The Believers. That's the name of the movie, The Believers, about sacrifice.
Of course you're uncertain, Cal. Naturally, so was I, till I met him. And now imagine, if you can, a life without uncertainty, freedom from doubt, the ability to choose, single-mindedness.
One life from each of us, Cal, is all he asks. And he rewards our devotion 1,000-fold.
Personal desires, oh yes, of course, anything. That's part of it.
It's only the beginning.
There was a time, Cal, when man was at one with the gods before the fall. Now we're at one again. And their benediction is power. It's a power you can't imagine. Power to create a world of our choosing. Power to destroy those who oppose us.
We want you to join us. Create this ground with this Father's humble offering. We seek the strength and wisdom of our benefactors.
We call upon the ancient gods to renew our strength and guide your hand to strike down the enemies of our faith and of this great nation.
We welcome our brother Cal, reborn into your grace.
Ayawaladama,
the power which is our birthright,
Herabanya,
the glory which is our destiny,
Anjuka Jin Tasmala,
our enemies consumed by winds of fire.
Ong Pangay Mulula Sonina,
our strength reborn in sacrifice.
Identi Sonina, Monsaya Denti Sonina.
Okay, so that's the name of the game. So Matthew Perry isn't paying visits to Courtney Cox because in the afterlife, he's like, I really like to visit my friend from this show. They invoke spirits because they invoke demons. Nobody comes and visits you. Grandma doesn't show up in your house and move around your trolls on your countertop. Okay, demons do. Demons are real. The Bible tells us about demons. The Bible also tells us to stay away from mediums. In fact, it even says death by stoning for people who practice as mediums or psychics. But today, that's just considered normal. This is what we have now. Right? We have New Age Christianity because of people like Courtney Cox, people like Jennifer. They bring this stuff out in the open. Then Christians embrace this stuff because they say, well, Courtney Cox isn't a Satanist. She's not walking around wearing devil horns. She doesn't look like Billie Eilish or what we're supposed to believe a Satanist looks like. So they just talk about these things. And then people out there who are fans of the shows or the movies they're in, they're like, wow, my mom died recently. Maybe I should see a psychic because maybe I could talk to my mom because I really miss my mom, right? Some stuff's understandable. Everybody misses their mom, but you're not supposed to be summoning demons. You're not supposed to be seeing a psychic, okay? But these people do. And you never hear in church. When's the last time you heard in the church, a 501c3, talk about psychics, mediums? I can't recall ever hearing it. Maybe more end time prophecies people, because they don't warn you about these people. They like to believe that mind control is not real. They never talk about persuasion and manipulation. False idols, specifically when the Bible talks about false idols, these people are the false idols. They're literally put on a pedestal and then people copy and mimic their behavior, just like things like this. So there was no spirit visiting her, just a demon. It wasn't Matthew Perry himself, but I needed to cover it because when I see this stuff, I see everybody tweeting and oh, yes, right? These pizza lovers, all of them connected to each other, all witches, normalizing occult behavior out in the open. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.